At a packed church in Park Hills, they said goodbye to the mother of three who was murdered by her estranged husband on June 1st of 2011.
In May 2013, investigators from the Cape Girardeau County Sheriff's Office stood on a remote island in the Mississippi River, searching a 50-yard area that a killer had led them to. Among the lush green canopy of Devil's Island, one tree stood dead, completely lifeless, the branches bare, the trunk grey and brittle. That dead tree marked the exact spot, and beneath it, they'd find Jacque Waller, a mother of triplets who'd been missing for 2 years.
He took our mom away, and so I was trying to show him that you can't undo that.
But this isn't just a story about finding a body. It's about how a killer's own obsessive planning became the evidence that convicted him. Because sometimes the very steps someone takes to hide a crime are exactly what expose it. Jacque Sue Waller was the kind of person who picked up prescriptions for other people. At 39, she mothered everyone around her, not just her young triplets, but her friends, her family, even her estranged husband, Clay. Her sister Cheryl would later say that Jacque treated Clay like her fourth child, always taking care of him, even when he didn't deserve it. She worked as a respiratory therapist, was deeply involved in her children's activities, and was fighting for custody in what had become a bitter divorce. Clay Waller was a former sheriff's deputy who'd grown controlling and volatile. The marriage was over, but Jacque still cared about him as a person. On June 1st, 2011, she had a meeting with her divorce attorney at 3 p.m. The custody battle was intensifying. Clay wanted the triplets. Jacque was determined to protect them. After that meeting, she drove to Clay's house in Jackson, Missouri. She arrived around 4 p.m. She was never seen alive again. When Jacque didn't pick up the triplets that evening, her family knew something was catastrophically wrong. She'd never missed a pickup, ever. The next morning, her Honda Pilot was found abandoned on Interstate 55, keys still in the ignition, purse inside. Clay told police he hadn't seen her, said she'd never come to his house, but investigators noticed something immediately. Clay had stopped cooperating the moment they started asking detailed questions. Here's where this case takes a turn that no one expected. Because while police were searching for Jacque, Clay was already 3 steps ahead of them. And I mean that literally. The investigation revealed something chilling. The day before Jacque disappeared, May 31st, Clay had driven to Devil's Island, a remote patch of land in the Mississippi River between Missouri and Illinois. Evidence showed he had been there with a shovel. He was digging her grave before he'd even killed her. While investigators worked the case, Jacque's sister Cheryl was fighting a different battle for custody of the triplets. Clay was demanding them back. A man who'd just made his wife disappear wanted to raise her children. The family was living in a nightmare with no end in sight. The breakthrough came when investigators got a search warrant for Clay's house. What they found there told a story of violence and desperate cleanup. In the hallway, they discovered blood on the walls, spatter patterns and pooling that told investigators this was where Clay had beaten and strangled Jacque. DNA testing confirmed it was her blood. The hallway was the primary crime scene. Then they found what Clay had tried to hide. Sections of carpet had been cut out of the hallway and removed. Following their instincts, investigators checked the basement crawl space beneath the house. There, stuffed into the tight space, were pieces of carpet that had been cut into manageable sections. The carpet was saturated with blood, consistent with the beating and strangulation that happened in the hallway above. DNA analysis confirmed it. Clay had ripped up the evidence of what he'd done and hidden it beneath his own house. And that obsessive need to eliminate every trace? It's about to become Clay's biggest mistake. Surveillance cameras at a local marina captured Clay the night of June 1st, cleaning his boat for hours. The footage shows him hosing it out and scrubbing the center section with 409 cleaner over and over, methodically, obsessively, long into the night. Investigators realized what they were watching. Clay cleaning up after transporting Jacque's body by boat to the pre-dug grave on Devil's Island. The forensic evidence painted a clear timeline. Clay had planned this murder down to the burial logistics. He dug the grave on May 31st. On June 1st, after Jacque came to his house following the divorce, he killed her in the hallway. That evening, he loaded her body onto his boat and transported it across the river to Devil's Island, where he buried her in the grave he'd prepared. Then he spent hours cleaning the boat with 409, trying to wash away what he'd done. But here's what Clay didn't anticipate. His own perfectionism would betray him. In April 2012, prosecutors took an extraordinary step. They charged Clay with first-degree murder without a body. The circumstantial evidence was strong. The blood, the carpet in the crawl space, the pre-dug grave, the boat cleaning, but they knew a conviction would be difficult without physical remains. Clay's defense was simple. No body, no murder. Maybe Jacque had run away. Maybe she'd started a new life somewhere. Without her remains, how could prosecutors prove she was even dead? Then Clay made everything worse for himself. In July 2011, he'd posted threats against Jacque's sister Cheryl online, writing detailed messages about what he'd do to her. Federal authorities charged him with interstate threats and cyberstalking. He served 5 years in a federal facility in Louisiana. But the real pressure was coming from an unexpected source, his own family. Clay's father knew what his son had done. 2 days after the murder, Clay had confessed to him, but Clay's father died in 2012 before he could give official testimony. The secret was eating away at the family. Someone was going to break. By early 2013, the case seemed to be stalling. Clay maintained his innocence. The murder case was built entirely on circumstantial evidence. Jacque's family was losing hope of ever finding her body, ever getting real closure. And then, in May 2013, something remarkable happened. For 2 years, Jacque's children had been asking where their mother was. Cheryl, now their guardian, had no answers. The triplets were growing up without knowing what happened to the woman who'd loved them more than anything in the world. The not knowing was destroying everyone who'd loved Jacque. As part of a plea agreement, Clay agreed to lead investigators to Jacque's body. He directed them to a roughly 50-yard area on Devil's Island. He told them he'd poured a bag of fertilizer over her remains, and that's when investigators noticed it. Within that search zone, one tree stood dead among the living forest. The fertilizer Clay had poured over Jacque's body had seeped into the soil and killed the tree from the roots up. His final attempt to destroy evidence had created a marker pointing directly to her grave. On May 29, 2013, investigators recovered Jacque Waller's remains exactly where the dead tree stood. 1 week later, June 6, 2013, Clay Waller entered a guilty plea to second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 20 years in state prison. But the story didn't end there. In March 2016, the FBI discovered a 182-page manuscript Clay had written, essentially a detailed confession of the murder. That manuscript motivated federal prosecutors to pursue an additional charge, interstate domestic battery, for traveling from Illinois, where he'd spent the night with his girlfriend on May 31st, back to Missouri with the intent to kill his wife. He received 35 years federal to run concurrently. The case revealed something disturbing about the intersection of law enforcement training and domestic violence. Clay's background as a sheriff's deputy had taught him how investigations work, how evidence is collected, how to avoid detection, but that same knowledge made him overconfident. He planned so meticulously that his planning became the evidence. Today, Devil's Island looks like any other patch of forest along the Mississippi River. The dead tree is gone. Nature has reclaimed the spot where Jacque Waller was buried. But this case raises a question that keeps me up at night. How many other crimes have been committed by people who know exactly how investigations work? How many cases have we missed because the perpetrator understood the system too well? In our next investigation, we're looking at a forensic anthropologist who may have been using her expertise to cover up murders for decades. The evidence suggests she wasn't just studying bones, she was creating them. If you want to understand how forensic science can be weaponized by the very people we trust to protect us, make sure you're subscribed, because some of the most dangerous criminals are the ones who wear badges